About a year and a half ago, I made a video about the best team for Pokemon Brick Bronze, which very quickly blew up, both in views and comments, to the point I couldn't keep up. So today I will be doing a follow-up video in which I try to respond to as many comments as possible while rating your guys' teams. Let's go! My team is Infernape, Salamence, Gardevoir, Gengar, Gyarados, and Metagross. Okay, so this team definitely looks like it could be a PvP team. In this video, I will only rate the teams in story mode, as competitive is a whole separate can of worms I don't have time to dig into. For story mode, of course, this is definitely a solid team. I don't know exactly where you were in the game with this team, but to me it seems like a mid to late game team. We do have Infernape, who is definitely a really solid starter. Salamence is really good against Swissy and Tess, and so is Gardevoir, although it might have had some trouble with Zeke, as he can hit fairies for super effective. Metagross is also a really decent alternative to Jirachi, although you do have to painstakingly grind it up to level. Personally, I would have just grabbed the Bronzor, which fulfills the same role but slightly better if you have Levitate as an ability, and it's much easier to level up. Besides Gardevoir having a little trouble with Zeke, Gyarados having a double weakness to electric, and having to grind that Metagross, I really don't have much to say. This is a really solid team you have here. My team is Sceptile, Lucario, Garchomp, Gardevoir, Metagross, and last is a legendary is Rayquaza. You can get Rayquaza in Brick Bronze? Sign me up! This team also looks a whole lot like a PvP team, which is a trend we will see quite a bit of. Sceptile is at best as a starter in this game, sadly. It doesn't really get a lot of opportunities to shine outside of Quentin and Ryan. Lucario is decent, Garchomp is really good, Gardevoir and Metagross same as last one, and the very interesting pick of Rayquaza. So here we've got 2 Steel types, 2 Psychic types, and 3 Dragons if you count Mega Sceptile. You have all of these types overlapping, yet you don't have a single water, fire, or electric type. If this team is indeed being used in adventure mode, then I would assume this is a very late game team, possibly around 8th badge. If you're playing PBBF, you only have Tess, the Elite Four, and Champion left. For Tess, you're pretty much set already. In the Elite Four, however, you absolutely need something for the Steel and Psychic members, in which case I suggest you go ahead and grab a Larvesta and evolve it into Volcarona. Sure, it will be quite grinding, but Volcarona absolutely destroys 3 of the 4 members and also does decently well against the champion. Speaking of which, for Brad I would suggest you go grab an Alolan Vulpix and evolve it into Ninetales, since you absolutely need something against Landorus Ferian and Rotom, as well as a backup for Mega Salamence. My current team is Swampert, Lucario, Gengar, Gardevoir, Talonflame, and Salamence. Can you please suggest me some improvements if needed and recommend me some good movesets? Thank you. Then Javian Ortiz says, remove Talonflame for a Charizard or Infernape. Charizard is tanky and Infernape hits hard. Okay, this team does look more like a traditional story mode team, but please, for the love of God, do not add Charizard on the team. I would also remove Talonflame as its flying type overlaps with Salamence, but I would also ditch Gengar, both in favor of Houndoom, which can easily accomplish both of these roles by itself. To fill in the last slot, let's go crazy and try out a Weavile. It does share the Dark type with Houndoom, but Houndoom is a more traditional special attacker, while Weavile is a really fast physical attacker that could really spice up the team. Please tell me if my team is stable or not. So Swampert, Beautifly, Diggersby, Raichu, Pyro, and Jirachi. Please tell me if my team has a chance. I know exactly what you guys are thinking right now. The teams we have looked at so far all had these really popular Pokemon like Garchomp, Swampert, Gengar, Metagross, Gardevoir, but get a load of this team. This guy instantly gained my respect because I know for a fact he is a man of culture, using Pokemon that he likes, not caring what others say. As such, I'm going to respect this choice and I'm not going to change any of his Pokemon. In terms of movesets, I would swap out Muddy Water for Rock Slide on Swampert, Aerial Ace for Air Slash on Beautifly, Grass Knot and Nasty Plot on Raichu instead of Slam and Agility, which you are never going to use. Once you get the TM for Dark Pulse, I would also put that instead of Crunch on Pyro, and I would replace everything besides Psychic on Jirachi. My team is currently composed of Lucario, Gardevoir, Swampert, Salamence. Which other 2 Pokemons should I choose? You are definitely up to something. In the PBBF playthrough that I did in 2023, while writing the best team video, by the mid-game I had a team that was almost identical to this one. Building off of that, Rotom will be a no-brainer, but at that point I was also considering Electros with Levitate and a whole bunch of coverage. For the last row, assuming you have access to Rotom, Oven, and Flamethrower on Electros, I would also suggest Weavile Mega here so that you have something to cover ghost types. My actual team in Pokemon Brick Bronze: Mega Salamence, Gliscor, Venusaur, Cinderace, Shiny Gengar, Ice Darmanitan, all perfect IVs. Your actual team? This is a little hard to believe as this 100% looks like a competitive team, especially after mentioning the perfect IVs. Even if you use this in regular adventure mode, I don't really have anything to say. This is a perfectly good team. What do you think about this team? G-Max Corviknight, Mega Altaria, Salazzle, Galarian Corsola, Galarian Slowbro, and G-Max Eevee. I'm assuming you are playing on a copy of the game that has the Dynamax feature from Gen 8. I'll be completely honest here, I don't know all the PBB copies all that well, but it's interesting to see what some of these copies managed to achieve, including that Rayquaza from earlier. This does look like a really late game team though, possibly around 8th gym I would say. I don't think the copy you're playing on has a Roria League, so after Captain B, there shouldn't be any more major battles, at least none that I'm aware of, and this team is perfectly viable for Captain B. Which should you Mega Evolve, and who should you G-Max, and who should have the Z power? Well, this depends from battle to battle. As far as I'm aware, none of the Pokemon on the team have special Gigantamax forms, and I don't really know how Dynamaxing works in this PBB copy. For the Z power, I would give the Waterium Z to Swampert most likely, as he Hydro Vortex or Tectonic Rage if you get the Groundium Z should be quite devastating. As for the Mega, I personally used both Mega Heracross and Mega Houndoom in one of my recent playthroughs, but I used Mega Houndoom more than Mega Heracross, so I think it's the better choice here. Charizard Y, Garchomp, Slowbro, Rotom Pan, Kingambit, and Grimmsnarl. A few things about this one. I would instead use Rotom Frost over Rotom Pan because it overlaps with Charizard's flying type, and I would swap out Grimmsnarl for Ribombee. I know it might seem counterintuitive and quite an odd choice, but trust me, Ribombee is not as bad as it seems at first glance. Plus, the bug type is surprisingly helpful in the late game. Is Aegislash, Gengar, Lucatio, Shaymin, Ash Greninja, and Gengar a good tram? Please help me with a team which has Ash Greninja instead of Mudkip. Also, I want to replace Houndoom in the team for something better other than Camera, please. Are you sure you are not having a stroke? Do you want me to call an ambulance? Of course, a bunch of non-cohesive Pokemon won't make for a good tram. Okay, so let's take both of these comments and make a team from scratch. We will keep Ash Greninja, Aegislash, and Shaymin. Those three alone cover the jobs of every other member that you had on there. Now, for a fire type that is not Houndoom but is better than Camerupt, I'm going to suggest Volcarona. As stated previously, Volcarona is kind of annoying to get as you basically have to go through the same process as getting Volcanion and then also painstakingly grind it, but trust me, it is 100% worth it for the Elite Four. Next, let's add both a ground and a dragon type in the form of Flygon. I chose Flygon for this as you already have a lot of Pokemon who you will have to painstakingly grind, and Flygon levels up much faster than Garchomp. For the last slot, you really can't go wrong with Snorlax, both for its bulk, which the rest of the team lacks, but also its versatility. For my team, I chose Greninja, Talonflame, Manectric, Breloom, Gengar, and Alakazam. Manectric? Just grab a Rotom Frost and you're set. Also slap a Mega Stone on either Gengar or Alakazam if you can. Is this okay? I want to replace Gardevoir, I don't know. Swampert, Talonflame, Lucario, Ampharos, Gardevoir, Salamence. This one is also very similar to my playthrough team. This time, let's go a different route. Let's actually keep Talonflame, but replace Salamence with Dreepy. You can find Dreepy in Fortulos manner, but it's very rare. You do have plenty of time to level it up, assuming you are in the mid-game, and it's a very fast Ghost and Dragon type, also a pseudo-legendary, which will be a massive help in the late game. So, my team is Tyranitar, Metagross, Gardevoir, Ampharos, Swampert, and Staraptor. Hope it's a good team for the league, boys. Okay, so the Elite Four is very fast and hits very hard, which is a problem for frailer Pokemon like Gardevoir, Ampharos, and Staraptor. Tyranitar sadly isn't that much of a help either, since it's only good against a Psychic type guy and maybe Glimora and Heatran if you manage to get an Earthquake off. I would replace Tyranitar for Garchomp, then Gardevoir with Alolan Ninetales, and I would also slap on a Rotom Frost to deal with Landorus Therian. There we go, much better. Here's my team: Blaziken, Gardevoir, Venusaur, Tyranitar, Salamence, and Lapras. This is a really solid team, although it is clear you are in the mid-game right now. The only thing I would change are the movesets, but those will get better by themselves as you acquire more TMs and EXP. Blaziken is definitely the worst offender here. My team: Idea, Swampert, Dragonite with Lumberry, Taxapex with Black Sludge, Lucario with Life Orb or Focus Sash, Rotom Wash with Leftovers, Togekiss with Leftovers. This is 100% a competitive team. I can tell from the items you mentioned. In story mode, I would replace your Taxapex with something else, as by the end game, Pokemons really aren't that good as everything is super fast and hits super hard. Mine's pretty cool. Blastoise, Rhyperior, Pyroar, Gardevoir, Magnezone, and Dragonite. You, my dude, also earn my respect. Those are some really cool Pokemon you got there. I would replace Rhyperior with Nidoking, as Nidoking is way cooler than Rhyperior and also way more versatile. You can run basically anything on it. Otherwise, baller team. Great team, bro! But I replaced Houndoom for Cinderace and Jirachi for Metagross. Main reason is Cinderace deals more damage and Metagross can serve as a tank. Cinderace? I can understand Metagross, but Cinderace? If you're going to replace Houndoom with a starter, at least replace it with Incineroar. Wait, so what Rotom form should I use? In the video, I mentioned what Rotom forms to use for each battle, but if you don't want to go through the hassle of constantly changing its form, then I would recommend sticking to Rotom Frost for the entire game. Well, I hope that covers everything. If you have any more PBB theme suggestions, leave them in the comments, and if there are enough comments, I might do a part 2 to this. And also, don't forget to check out my best team for Pokemon Brick Bronze video if you haven't already. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time. Bye bye.